of the North Miami CRA Advisory Board. Can we start with a roll call, please? You want to?
Do I?
Okay. Carol?
Mr. Sanchez?
Present.
Mr. Each?
Present.
Ms. Cobo? Absent. Ms. Estime Irvin?
Present.
Mr. McDermott?
Present.
Dr. Millian?
Present.
Okay, Mr. Reynolds is not here. Ms. Cohen?
Here.
And I'm sorry,
Inez Couch.
Inez Couch.
Okay,
New
thank
member.
you. We have a, with that, we have a quorum. Can we do the Pledge of Allegiance?
It's back there, behind the screen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have a motion to approve the minutes of December 4th? Any corrections or amendments? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we move on to the minutes of February the 5th. We have a motion to approve?
I move.
Okay, second, okay. Discussion, amendments? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Before we move on to our items, I'd like to, Dr. Rudy Muis, who's been a member here of the board, unfortunately due to circumstances, has had to resign from the board. But we want to acknowledge the great service that he gave to us. And Dr. Muis, thank you very much for your input and insights. Okay, so thank you very much. Okay, please note that we have Ms. Blanca Cobo and Mr. Clark Reynolds who have joined the meeting. Okay, under the items for discussion, do we have someone from Greenwood Development here?
If you'd like, Mr. Chairman, I could present.
Yes, please.
those here just for the
Okay,
record.
all right.
And then we can ask, excuse me, and then we can ask for the applicant.
Okay.
And I just, for the record, would like to say the reason that Dr. Moyes had to resign is because he is now applying for a redevelopment rehabilitation grant, which is a great thing to help redevelop some property and increase the tax base. Unfortunately, our county ethics code does not permit a member of the committee to do business with the committee, so that was the reason why. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have stayed on and continued his service. Item number 1 under the agenda is a rehabilitation grant request from Greenwood Investments, Inc. So there's a rehabilitation request from Greenwood Investments, Inc. located at 12525-12545 Northeast 7th Avenue and 701-713 Northeast 125th Street. Greenwood Investments, Inc. was formed in 1994 and owns and operates the multi-tenant commercial buildings. The buildings were constructed in 1950 are in need of a modern facelift. The current windows and doors are non-compliant with Miami-Dade County and not appealing. This much-needed improvement will not only enhance the value of the buildings, but will also substantially improve the appearance and provide safety to future and existing tenants. So the applicant has submitted 3 bids ranging in amounts from $92,798 to $140,850. There's no active violations on this property. The total project's cost based on the lowest responsive bidder are $92,798. Staff recommends approval of 50% of the total amount, which is $46,399. And the grant request will improve the aesthetics along the downtown corridor. And attached to the staff report is the backup, including the bids, including the application, and other photographs so you can see the buildings, including the property information from Dade County as well. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you, and you can request that the applicant, if here, get up and maybe describe the project in greater detail for us.
Okay, is someone here from Greenwood? No? Okay.
Is that whole block?
It's half the block, it's about a third of the block.
Yes. about a
Including
third,
the tall
yeah.
building?
It's not included, it doesn't include, it does not include the
Oh,
total.
it doesn't?
Well, why is
It's-
it?
It wraps around, it wraps around.
Wraps around.
Oh,
It's
okay.
actually going west from where the
Yeah,
JCC
it goes, it starts on 125th and goes, then wraps around 7th Avenue.
Oh,
Why they are not here?
No, it goes, you'll see it, it goes.
no,
So
I
it
was just asking about
includes
this
where
picture.
tissue
No,
is.
no.
Oh, okay, wrong. Cross it.
It goes,
Yeah, it's like that.
okay, Mary,
It's not tissue.
I don't know why.
Is it tissue?
Confusions,
No, it's not tissue.
pictures are confusing.
Tissue is 6.
Okay, so
Tissue
then,
is,
so then it's
it's the wrong people. It's this one.
yes.
this one?
It's this one. No,
It's not this one?
Here's,
either?
the,
it is this one. It is this one.
yes, Mary.
And it goes, wraps around, yeah.
Okay, Clark, please. Okay, Mary has the floor.
I'd like to make a motion to table this until the person they come back and present, please.
Okay. All right, do we have a second to that? Second. Okay, so we'll post,
Did they say that they were coming?
well, they're asking for quite a bit of money, so you would think they
You
would
would
be
think they
here.
would come.
Yeah,
I thought we had that as a general, as a general policy, that there has to be a person,
representing
representing
the applicant.
applicant, yeah.
Right. So, that said, there's a first and second, we'll table this to our next meeting. So all those in favor? Aye. Okay, all right, our next one is the Comprehensive Healthcare Center LLC.
Clear it back.
Mr. Attorney?
Yes, so agenda item number 2, let me get there please, so there's no tabs in here. Sorry about that. Okay, agenda item number 2 is a tax rehabilitation and infrastructure incentive grant by Comprehensive Health Center LLC. Comprehensive Health Center LLC, under the leadership of Dr. Rudy Moise, has acquired several properties located on Northwest 120th Street and Northwest 6th Avenue. CHC's plan is to expand from the original site, located on 671 Northwest 119th Street, a 7,800 square foot, a 7,800 square foot clinic, to a 14,354 square feet full medical service facility. This is a multi-year, 2-phase project. Exhibit B of the report shows the before and after images of the project. The particular grant request for the property located at 650 Northwest 120th Street, formerly a wood floor and tile warehouse, where CHC intends to do a complete renovation into a medical center. The intent is to be a one-stop shop as a primary healthcare facility, to include dental office, specialized testing, surgical suites for orthopedic, cosmetic procedures, to name a few. Current property tax paid to the city is $4,590. Once redeveloped, the property is estimated to generate approximately $18,173 in property tax revenue to the city annually. The total cost for both phases is estimated at $3,023,081. CHC is requesting the CRA consider a grant in the amount of $1,211,540, which amounts to 40% of the project cost for Phase 1 of the project. The staff and CRA attorney have reviewed the request and make the following recommendations. If the board is to approve this grant, it must do so with the following caveats. The board would need to waive the grant guidelines to exceed the maximum grant amount of $100,000. 2. Dr. Moise must resign from the advisory committee, as this is a direct benefit to him, which is prohibited by the Miami-Dade County Ethics Code. We previously mentioned that Dr. Moise has already submitted his resignation from this advisory committee. That the applicant will not be applying for any grants for Phase 2, 671 Northwest 119th Street, or any other properties acquired and redeveloped for at least 5 years. CHC is proffered to make available 10 to 15 mid-level jobs to North Miami residents. If upon extensive search, CHC is not able to fill these positions with North Miami residents, applicant can make these positions available to non-city residents. These positions would include managers, medical assistants, case managers, billing specialists, medical code specialists, and nurses. If approved, the grant will be dispersed in 2 installments, 50% during this fiscal year, and the balance in fiscal year 18-19, once the CRA budget. Okay. You want me to continue? Okay. Once the CRA budget is approved by the CRA, the city, and the county, and this item is listed as an approved expense. That completes the report. You'll be able to see in the backup the photos, the letter requesting the grant, the application, before and after pictures, and the like. And obviously, in this particular case, Dr. Moise is here, and I'm sure would be happy to present his project to us at this time.
Dr. Moise?
So I have a question. I'd like to know, you mentioned that the ethics, because of the ethics, he had to resign, which is fine.
Yes.
Is there a time limitation on the resignation, or is it?
No. I mean, the resignation was effective immediately.
Right.
And is obviously previous to any consideration by the CRA Advisory Committee or Board of this item. So at that point, there's no conflict at this
Right,
point.
so legally speaking, nobody will come back to us and say there should have been a 2-year period or nothing like that?
As far as I know, there should not be. I mean, we will double check before we go to the board then. I know that there's 2-year periods when it comes to lobbying and things like that. That's a different story. But not when it comes to, requesting and doing business with your own agency.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Moise?
Good evening. It feels funny to be on this side, since I'm used to be on that side. But I will proceed. Thank you so much for considering this. Comprehensive health center has been in existence now for over 30 years. As healthcare is changing, getting a bit more difficult, more regulations, we decided to kind of expand to meet the level of market level right now at this time. We have several contracts with a lot of the managed care company, and we call them risk contract. The more you do in-house, the cheaper it gets. Because every time somebody comes into a primary care facility and need a referral, we have to write a referral to go see the cardiologist, go to the dentist, so it costs more money to do this. While if you offer all the services in-house, what they call the concept of the medical home, it becomes cheaper for everybody. Plus, it becomes more convenient for the patient as well. So we decided, we've been working on this for a while now, planning, and finally we come to the design. And that's why we're here to present to you the building. We've been at 119 now for 30 years, and we had just acquired that big warehouse that was in the back of us. It's been there, so we bought it. We decided that we'll move the primary care facility into that new facility, and then where the clinic is now, this is where we'll add the surgical suites, we'll add dental, opto, and all the other specialties and so on. So that's where we are. And I have some of the rendering of the facility. If Bob is our contractor. Bob, why don't you go ahead and maybe explain to them what the...
Good evening, gentlemen.
Your name and address?
My name is Bob Morindo with Mullen Services. We're general contractors and interior finishers. And Dr. Moise engaged us for the last 2 years, I think, on this project, and we've been working with him for the last 2 years trying to bring it to life, changing it from one stage to another. And so far right now, we have kind of brought it exactly where we need it to be, and that's why he's asking for the extra funding that we need to continue the project, which will be very beneficial to the city of North Miami and the residents of North Miami at large. Now, as this is what we are proposing for it to look like inside, this will be the reception of the new building. I can see on the first page, it shows you the exterior building, how it's going to look like, but I didn't bring that one, but this one shows you how the interior is going to look like. All right?
You're building the second floor, right?
Yes, we are putting in, right now it's just a warehouse. It's a 6,000 square foot warehouse.
With, like, what height of ceilings?
The ceilings are going to be 8 foot. because we have a very limited height we are working with.
Okay,
And with
so
all the
each
equipment.
8 foot downstairs and 8 foot upstairs?
Yes.
So you have like a 16-foot ceiling right now?
Right
to the
now,
warehouse?
it's like 20 foot from floor to ceiling. So we're going to 2-foot ceiling first floor, 2-foot ceiling second floor to accommodate the air conditioning and all the wiring and all that we need.
Okay.
All right. So this is the second floor, and that will be the first floor coming
And
in.
this is the reception area, which is
Yeah.
floor to ceiling, 24 feet?
Yeah, exactly. That's the reception area where you come in. And
So the size of the building after the build-out?
Yes.
The floors, the amount of square footage in the entire building is going to be 14,000 square feet?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
First floor and
Because,
second floor?
yes, we're going to be doubling the square footage,
Okay,
which is also going to increase your tax base down the
Right.
road.
okay,
And it's truly going to change the look of that corner.
right.
And with Dr. Moise's vision, the way it's going, and with the properties he has right next door, with what we have been talking with him, it's really going to change the entire look of between the 7-Eleven and out of that entire Eden. It will become a fully fledged medical facility. All right.
Very good. Good budget.
That's it. Thank you.
Let me ask you about the renovation. That will begin when this project is complete. You'll move over there, then you'll begin the renovation of the original facilities.
Yes.
With the specializations. Are you going to have an outpatient surgical center?
Yes, we're gonna have to, well, we're planning on doing this, it depends on the regulation to see
Right,
how
right.
expensive it is and how we can do this, but that's.
Right,
that's-
that would be the plan. Okay, that's great.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions?
Oh, yeah, I have it.
Okay, all right.
I know Dr. Moise, I appreciate everything, but I don't see the benefit for the people of Miami. This is about a business. You can make a loan in any bank. And listen, I will not say too much, but I consider that with so many small business owners that we have in this city, we will put $1 million or more than that into a business like that. No, I will go no. No, it's a statement. Yeah, because I answer all my questions. I consider that to do that is immoral. We cannot do that. We cannot spend $1 million in one business. Sorry. At least he will have one vote. No.
Any other comments or
I have
questions?
a question.
Yes.
Does he have a mortgage, an existing mortgage on his property?
Oh, he's here, we can ask him. Dr. Moise. Have questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And do you have another mortgage on the new building also? On the building that you're purchasing?
Yes,
Or that you already purchased?
yes.
You have a mortgage on
Yeah,
that?
I have a small mortgage on this.
Okay. And how are you going to be able to repay the debt, both debts? Or is just one mortgage, or how is it working out?
Well, you know, we're not beginner. We've been doing business for 30 years, so we are very well established in the community. It's just that when you move from one facility and doubling facility, so we need the extra cash to do that. And plus, we created a tax base. By the way, it's not free money. I mean, we're going to be paying it back with a tax base. So that's why the attorney says in the beginning, you know, it's not just it's a tax base grant. The money will be repaid with the tax increase that the effect's going to be. So so that's what it's going to be.
I have a question for Larry. Larry, this grant is going to be split to two pieces, right? One's going to be in this fiscal year, and one's going to be in next fiscal year. Is that right? So it'll come out of the budget. Half will come out of the budget this year, and half will come out of the budget next year.
That's how we're talking about structuring right now.
So if we give out, let's say, $550,000 this year, what does that do to how much money we've got to
I
give
need
out
to
this
look
year.
at the rest of the budget, but we
I think we
probably-
blow it pretty much, right?
We would, with what we have, a couple of other things that we have in the pipeline,
We'd be
probably
done, right?
We'd be done for the year, on the business assistance programs.
Can we make a recommendation that we have some reallocations if we're
We
gonna do
could-
this?
we could
So
look
that
at
we have more money to give out?
We could look at that, and I wanted to, in response to your comments about it being too much for a single business, you know, and I don't want to make it seem like the CRA rules have been arbitrary and capricious when they're set up. However, in the direction that we're going and in the growth pattern that we're coming as a CRA, we're going to have bigger businesses starting to come and be interested in being here. We spent more than $100,000 to bring Cafe Creme here, and it was, I will tell you, a great investment.
It was, we spent $250.
Right.
Actually, $325 by the time we
Because
got
came
done.
back, yeah, because we came
They
back.
came
and got
back.
another 70. So we're gonna have bigger, different types of business owners, particularly when we start looking at the redevelopment of 7th Avenue with a new Chinatown designation and the stuff there. So you're gonna start to see larger numbers, and I don't want the advisory board as a whole to get afraid of seeing the larger numbers. We are looking at businesses, and we can bring more analysis around this. How much is that business going to create in additional tax base, i.e., how much are they're going to pay into the trust fund? So we're, in essence, returning a portion of what they're going to be investing themselves off of their private investment, the leverage off their private investment. We've started to brief this item. We've looked at it. Yes, we had the same kind of initial reaction. Hey, this is a large number. However, we're looking at the job creation. We're looking at the importance of the business. This is a business that has been there for a number of years, decades, and they're expanding. That expansion does bring a different, you know, the level of jobs he's creating are not, these aren't $17 an hour jobs.
No.
Right.
They're skilled, licensed, technical positions, and if we can focus on identifying some individuals, we can. The other thing that we can do, and it's not direct, we do have job training programs that we have via other programs that the city has. And now I can maybe take one of those individuals and drive that to his business over the next 2 years. I know his build out is large and he's ready to move forward. We could even structure it that instead of 2 years, we could do 3 years. Or we can allocate some of the, you know, I know we have some other projects that we really are pushing to get done. The plaza and some of the other infrastructure projects, we really need to get those things moving. But we could look at some other nuances. But, you know, right now, I will tell you, you know, Rasha's worked on this one in particular. We've been dealing with this for some time now, going back and forth, working with the architect. We need new estimates, and I think it's, you know, been vetted well, and that's why we're bringing it forth to get your reaction on it. So
I react.
I know, I know.
I don't think we have many really good projects over on the west side,
Right.
really.
Can I say
that's
something?
pretty-
Yeah, that's,
Chair.
tell the
Okay,
truth.
hold on. Ms. Cohen has the floor. Go ahead.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but we still have guidelines, and our guidelines is 100,000.
Isn't it 150?
Well, it says here 100.
I know, but isn't it
So,
150?
I don't know.
Mr. Chair, do you want me
I'm
to
reading
respond?
Is it 100, 150?
There's a whole set of grants, commercial grants. The particular grant we're looking at here is the rehabilitation grant, which is 100,000. The 150 is for the business attraction grant, when it's a new business that's coming
right.
into the,
And it's
into the
not.
city.
I didn't understand that.
But
like the
going
TDH
forward
grants.
with that concept, we have $100,000. Either we're going to have to start changing our guidelines, or there's a difference between, that's not me, is it? Oh. There's a difference between 100,000 and 250,000. When you go up to $1,200,000, you're taking away the ability for the city to attract people to come into the city and be able to say, yes, we have money to help you. We're throwing everything into one bucket
whereas there are many, many, many other businesses that need help. There's fires, people need help with that. There's a lot of things going on, and to just say that we're going to give away $1,200,000 to an existing business that is making enough money to be able to get a $900,000 loan, plus have another mortgage on a different piece of property, it's like, you know, it's ridiculous in a sense. I mean, because that's not what the CRA was developed for. CRA was to help people that need help.
Okay.
Not really. Not
I
people
think
in need, no.
Clark-
We're here
Dr.
to help.
Dr. Millian?
Yeah, Mr. Manager answered all my questions. I know Dr. Moise since I moved down here from New York. Over 30 years, his business is steady here. He's doing pretty well. And I think this is about to really help the community, to expand the business, to help the community more. So therefore, it's not about $1 million is too much. No, it's not. As a matter of fact, we're here just to help this business, to promote and to help more the community. Because instead people come down here, this one need 50,000, 100, but this business has a lot of credit after 30 years. So therefore, we don't need to discuss that. This is to me, this is a great opportunity for our community.
Okay.
To serve better.
Miss, did you have a comment, Mary? Okay. Ms. Couch?
I think Holly touched on it a little bit, but if we're talking about having 10 or 15 new employees, do we have the housing for these higher level people? And if we don't have the housing, do we have, and I'm sorry I'm new, but do we have a plan in place to help provide good enough housing that they can afford?
Yeah, I mean, the job creation is not necessarily tied to providing housing. We would be, again, but I'd be looking for, there are nurses that already live in North Miami, in every district in the city. We'd be looking to say, you're looking for 5 nurses or whatever, here are 5 that we can identify that are already existing city employees. I would love to see him hire a few physicians, because I know you're gonna do more multi-specialty, and I have a little bit of experience in managing this from my days at Jackson. So those are 6-figure positions, right. So,
Yes.
yes. So,
it specifies the position.
Dr. Maurice, oh, I'm sorry.
no, the only thing I was gonna say, Ms. Cohen, is I get your, I get it, and I understand it completely. And Rosh and I need to do, I think we need to bring you guys some more examples of some of the things, not just this CRA can do, but all of the others that are following all the rules and they're making great impacts in their communities. When you talk about the definition of what the CRA is supposed to do, the definition is 2 words: to remove slum and blight. And slum and blight comes in many different definitions. And actually, it's not just about job creation. Slum and blight has a healthcare and healthcare availability definition in its broadness. We have a medical center, like I said, that has been here that actually does provide good, high standard healthcare to our local community within the CRA boundaries. So, you know, it's your guys' job to say, hey, you know, give us the advice, but I would add that to the list of the pros, if you will, on achieving the goals of the CRA. And again, you're not the only one that's reacted to the number. Trust me, he'll tell you, I reacted to the number. And we've just kind of been working with it so long that we know we needed to advance the discussion to the advisory board and then on to the further board.
Mr. Chairman,
Wait. A question to Dr. Moise. I know that this was raised through the conversations. The way we have it set up now is for 2 years, correct?
Yeah, that's the recommendation.
That's the staff's recommendation.
Would, Dr. Muis, would you be comfortable with 3 years so that there wasn't a more of a direct impact in a short period of time? Would it be something that, how would you react to that?
Well, you know, I want the city to feel comfortable about the decision, okay? Obviously, 2 years would be better for us. We can get it done quicker, okay? Stretching over 2 years, it's possible, but it's going to stretch it longer. I like to get done with this project and move on, you know, and go with this. But if that's what you guys decide, then I would respect your decision.
Okay, is that plausible,
Well,
Mr. Attorney?
Mr. Chairman, I think that the question of when the grant gets paid and how it gets broken up in fiscal years directly relates to the project itself. It's a reimbursement grant. So I don't know where the applicant is in the process. I mean, do they have a building permit? Are they about to start construction?
We're about to start, and this is what you should
Because-
explain. You should explain to them, because they think that you're just writing a blank check. Here, this is $1.2 million. This is a grant that is going to be paid back in taxes. Okay, so you know this is a big difference from what you guys are, from what you've been granting so far.
So, Dr. Moise, I don't think you know that we know that it's reimbursable. But my concern, and the concern of, and I get it, so I'm not opposed to this, but I am concerned about, so if it is budgeted that these funds are no longer available, what about a small mom and pop that 50,000 really means a lot to them. So I'm glad that you are open to the 3-year option. That I think that would make the board, the advisory board, a whole lot more comfortable.
If you're comfortable with that, I mean, that would be a way to provide not
That's
such a
fine.
direct impact
That is fine.
under current circumstances. Because I like the project, I'm in support of the project, but I understand some of the comments about, you know, the size of the impact per year.
Actually,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
You know, let's go back on our history here. We supported a chicken restaurant over there, and we gave them $250,000,
For the drop down?
right? And then Alaskan Coffee had a fire. Didn't have enough insurance to cover it. Didn't we give them $300,000?
Yes, she came here, yeah.
And
Yes, I
so-
was there, He said-
All right,
it's
so
true.
here
That's
we're
right.
giving a restaurant $300,000.
Yeah, it's true.
Doctor's been in this city for over 20-something years. They're relatively new. Brand new business starting off, and now we're saying, well, wait a minute. You know, let's clean the slate here, and let's start looking at, let's call it ace and ace. And we're gonna give a restaurant $300,000, and I was quite surprised. They had a fire, they're in business, they had right?
Yeah.
And they're supposed to maintain an adequate amount of insurance, but they didn't. Now, if that business had been across the street on Biscayne Boulevard, it would have been outside of the CRA, we wouldn't have given them a dime. And we didn't give them to them as a loan, we gave them $300,000. Now, the good doctor's saying, hey, listen, I'll take 4 years, but I see this as a viable project. And if we could spread this out over a number of years, I think this would be a benefit to the community. We're talking about people's health. I'm not talking about a cup of coffee. I'm not talking about a chicken.
Not hamburger.
I'm talking about people's health. And redoing 119th Street.
That's
You know,
right.
I was thinking about this today. When I come off that expressway, and I drive down 119th Street to Northwest 7th Avenue, I want to cry. And one of the nicest buildings I see out there is since you took it over and you remodeled that place. Well, I absolutely want to cry. That's absolutely disgraceful. And you know what? So let's kind of put everything in perspective and see if we can work this out where we have a fiduciary responsibility, but let's see if we can stretch this out over a number of years.
Well, that's why I was saying, asking that question.
Let's not get caught up in the fact that, hey, you gave a restaurant $300,000 because they had a fire over there and didn't have enough insurance.
Well, if you stretch it out to
And
three,
I got-
Mr. Eads, if we stretched it out over 3 years, it would be about the same, 300,000 plus per
You
year.
know, if we could stretch
Yeah,
it out,
maybe
that way,
400,000.
my point being,
Well,
You really brought up a good point about a mom and pop coming in that would need 50 grand. This would give us the flexibility to help small businesses come in if we could stretch this loan out. I'm not opposed to it. I see the
Correct.
benefit of it. Not
I
only
think we
economically,
all
but
support
from
it.
a medical
And
standpoint.
that's not the
4
issue.
years. Let's give him 4 years.
I think that's a lot.
Yeah, I.
3 years,
I think
physically 3 years, we could do some now, then it turns over again in October, and then it turns over again October the next year. So you're really talking a year and a half.
And if the good doctor hits the lotto, we can pay it all back, and we don't.
And he won't have he won't have
It's
the
a
project
grant.
finished until a year and a half.
It's a grant.
It's a grant.
Yeah, respectfully, I think 3 years is a good compromise for the concerns that we raised.
Well,
so.
in taking into consideration what our attorney has said and the phases of construction, I think 3 years is much more acceptable than 4, because, this is gonna be a reimbursable thing, and we don't want to hold up his process in going forward either.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just make a comment to finish on your,
Okay, wait, hold on, we have this,
I mean, the way we've structured these in other CRAs is that when it's a larger project like this, it's a $3 million project, and we're gonna pay the grant out in tranches, that we get confirmation that a certain amount has been spent in a particular fiscal year. And then we make our payment. Okay, so if it's a $3 million project, how is the other $1.8 million being funded? Is it equity, or is it debt, or is it a combination of both?
Both, Commissioner, both. Mostly, I put in most of the money as well. And there's a small, with the mortgage that we have, so that's considered loan. Just
Okay,
a
so
combination.
there's not going to be a construction loan?
I'm
Is there
sorry.
going to be a construction loan?
Fiscal construction loan.
Is there going to be a construction loan?
We are applying for one just in case that we may need it, so we can have it on there.
Okay, but if you get the grant from the CRA, are you going to need the construction loan?
Most likely, no.
Okay. So then you're going to fund the rest of this out of equity.
Right.
So we would look to see, a certain amount of equity go into the project before one of our tranches goes in. It's a $3 million project. I don't know. That's why I asked the question where we are in the process. Are we close to a building permit, or probably not, if I had to guess?
We are on the building permit. The permit it should be issued. We just have to pay the building permit fees. The
Okay,
plans have
so
been
you're
approved.
ready to
Plans are
commence
already in.
construction?
We are ready to go.
It's been approved by the building department
Yeah.
in Dade County? It's done?
Yeah.
Wow.
Even North Miami, yes.
So my suggestion, and it's probably going to take, 18 months of construction to complete this project?
We are looking at 12 months.
12 months. Okay, so there's a piece in this fiscal year and a piece in next fiscal year. So, Mr. Executive Director, I think we would want to look at the pro formas and see, how much money is going to be spent, and we can come up with some sort of schedule.
With the understanding if this gets approved, your last grant distribution would be at the end of your bill. So I guess we'd have to figure it out at CEO. I don't know if you can handle the cash flow for that last
6 months.
third of the bill.
So then they're still looking at a 2-year payout as opposed to a 3-year.
Well, no, it'd be three fiscal years.
3 fiscal
Fiscal
years.
years.
Okay.
So it really could be a year and a half, almost.
2.
Year and a half to 2, yeah.
Okay, so yes, you could do 3 years.
okay, so with that 3 years, and again, Doctor, you're comfortable with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I'd like a question.
Oh, sure.
It's
This
a
is
grant.
It does not, this is a grant.
Oh, keep saying it's gonna be.
No, I think that reference, and we should clarify this. When I made reference to the generation coming back, it's based on the additional tax base that'll be created by the investment in the business, the new building. So his taxable value will go up from the 600,000. It should be well into
$18,000.
the
18,000.
18,000
Yes.
to. Oh, that's the number. That's the number.
Right.
Okay.
And Ms. Cohen, Ms. Cohen? Ms. Cohen?
Ms. Cohen?
So the word reimbursement was used, or it's a reimbursement earlier, maybe that's where there was confusion. The reason that word is used is because the applicant has to lay out the money and pay the contractor, and then We reimburse, okay, yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
to move
Approve
forward
the
with
grant?
this with the amendment of the
3 years rather than 2? Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further
Second.
discussion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you have a unanimous vote?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I didn't vote.
It's a
Oh,
great
I'm
project.
sorry. I asked,
It's a real, it's real.
Yes, big project.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
real
Sorry.
small strip center.
No, no, no.
are
Big
you
project. Big project.
voting against?
Yes.
Complicated. Okay.
Oh, it's very
So
complicated.
it's 5-2. Okay.
No, it's very complicated.
Oh, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8-2 is the vote. Okay. Please, whoever transcribes this, please, the vote is 8 in favor, 2 opposed. Thank you. Okay, thank you again. Now we're moving on to a presentation in reference to the Mocha Courtyard presentation. I guess we have to all move.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Geimer. Yes, the presentation is going to be on the screen. Sorry.
Okay.
Again, Jeff Geimer, Capital Project Manager for the City of North Miami. The presentation is on the Mocha Courtyard. Sorry. Sign this in. She'll call me out. It's okay. So this presentation is on the Mocha Courtyard. It's a project that the city, the CRA has secured BEA architects for, and the plans that we're showing right now are in draft form, and they're awaiting final comments from the advisory committee and then ultimately the CRA board, which they plan to present to next week before they finalize the plans. So this is a picture of the courtyard area that we're discussing, kind of its appearance now. And you'll see the openness of the courtyard and the limited paver space, and then the shade area is really between the two buildings all the way in the back there. And when events are held out in this courtyard, a lot of foot traffic takes place on the sodded area, which is not the best for people with heels and other people when it gets muddy. So these were the goals and objectives that have been set aside for BEA to maximize the pavement design for the courtyard area, include some green space, and we've also looked at turf block for a portion of the project so that they can incorporate a little bit more green. A little bit of, from a Mocha perspective, flexible exhibition space in the courtyard. This includes recommendations for site furnishings. We're not including that as part of the design, so the site furnishings you're going to see are recommendations. Updated exterior lighting, new landscaping design pockets, designs for a shade structure. Right now, if you go to events out there, and even we just had one in February, and it was, you know, particularly warm February, and everyone was kind of baking and running, trying to get into the shade area just to avoid the sun. Modify the drainage, of course, because we're basically paving, bringing in pavers for a lot of the area, so we have to do a little bit of work on the drainage as well. Do something with the existing awning. It's served its course, and then bring in some fans for circulation. This is what the architect brought to us as a conceptual image board. You'll see from left to right some of the design concepts that they've gotten their ideas from. This isn't what our courtyard's going to be like. This is just their concept board. I'll just give you 30 seconds to digest this a little bit before I move forward.
Is that the front?
No, this is just conceptual ideas that they're using for the courtyard development.
Oh, for the courtyard, okay.
Yeah, this is the area between the buildings. This is the conceptual ideas they used for their shade structure that they're going to be bringing in. They're looking at shade sails, and you'll see their implementation ideas in a few slides. This image board, when they presented it, this was to kind of show what they wanted to do. They wanted to incorporate a little bit of flow into the outdoor space. They didn't want it to be squared off and kind of blocky. So, you know, they just took examples from nature and kind of said, this is kind of what we're thinking about when we do things. And then this is what they're looking at for the structural system, mostly with the shade structure. So that's something that it's not up there on a permanent basis. It can be brought down and put up. It wouldn't be something we would be able to do in an hour or two, but it's something, as we plan ahead, you could remove the sails and then put them back up. Okay, so what you see on the left is the courtyard plan. So it's, of course, the area between the buildings, and the paver design with concrete elements that they're looking to bring in as well. And the plan on the right is kind of the shade structure roof plan that overlaps the pavers that they're bringing into play. On the left, you'll see something that says stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Anyone who's attended events in the courtyard area knows that we set the stages up for performers or artists or in different areas, and they're trying to show that we're going to maintain that flexibility by this design. We're not going to lose the flexibility of the space, and this is also going to create that open paver area so that anyone that's attending events there has something smooth to walk on, not wet, you know, a nice place to gather. And like I said, on the right is the sails that they're going to use. We're going to use for shade. You'll notice that, and with this structure, you could put up some of the sails, you could put up all of the sails. They're all independent. So this covers approximately 80% of the area, 85% of the area. But you could put up 1 or 2 sails that would cover about 50% of the area. It's very flexible. What they did here was they broke out 2 small squares. So the square that's the paver area, you'll see is concrete and pavers on the right-hand side. And their color incorporation is many tones of a gray, white and gray. When this was originally brought to us, it was brought to us with inlays of red pavers. And during the discussion, the original discussion was with the city manager, myself, Rasha, and Natasha Colbrook-Williams. Since then, we've hired a museum director as well. And the museum director had an opportunity to take a look at that and provide feedback on the plans. And she was concerned about the red inlays and didn't feel that was going to meet her requirements from a museum's perspective. When I called the architect, actually to have a conversation with them about it, they're like, well, I'm glad you called us about this because we didn't think red was going to be ultimately the best direction to go either, so we've done this. And they sent me the plan, and it was really what our museum director was looking for, and I think it's something that it would really work for the idea. Now the bottom right-hand picture, that's turf blocks, and what that is kind of square blocks that you can add sod into. So it's good for vehicular traffic. Cars, trucks could come in and out because trucks need to come into the area. And when you saw the beginning slide, you saw truck tracks driving through the sod. This would eliminate a lot of that issue. So there's a gate on the right-hand side there, and it would drive over the turf blocks, and the turf blocks would hold up to the vehicular traffic, but it would allow us to bring a little bit more greenery into the space as well.
I don't like that at all, because I think
No, it's actually going to be sod. It's, but the turf blocks is basically a concrete type paver with openings that allow you to still bring sod and green into it to go along with the green that's going to go along the walls.
Jeff, well, it's great to be able to have something solid to walk on, and I know there's talking about sales cloth, covering, but all that concrete that we've got, isn't that going to absorb a lot of heat?
Actually, the pavers are with the lighter tones are going to be very reflective. Now, is it going to be warmer than grass? Absolutely. But we'll be able to offset that during the summer months in presentations with the sails. So you'll notice that the sails were white, and the white is very reflective, and that'll reflect a lot of the sun rays away and be able to protect it and keep it cooler. And then that's the other idea with the fans that they want to implement as well.
I can add, and I heard your comments, there are several different applications of turf block. I've seen 40 or 50 different kinds. This is a standard one that has concrete with a square. It's usually about 4x4 or 5x5 piece of grass. I've also seen an application, actually, the Solomia developer in Newport, because they have an area it's a grassed area, but it's the service opening for the subway, so they have to bring cars on. What they use, and you can't see it as clearly as this, so it looks like it's all grass, is it's a rubberized application. It's smaller and it's tighter, and so a big 2-ton, 4-ton truck can ride over it, not destroy the sod at all, because the block is there, the rubber block is there, but it gives you more of a green. It looks like it's literally like lawn. You'd have to really dig down into the grass to actually physically see the block. So we could look at, as your vision, other applications of it.
As long as the maintenance is taken into account, because if it's difficult and it doesn't look, and it isn't maintained, it just looks terrible.
I got that. And I'm the one who, as Jeff will tell you, and to your comment, I was concerned about maintaining some green space, even to the point of thinking about putting in artificial turf, so that it is very physically green the whole time. But my environmental folks say, Mr. Manager, as artificial is not really, you need to have some grass. So that's why we looked at some of these other applications.
So if I may, the grass is going to be interspersed with blocks, is that?
Just in the one area, just the one section.
The problem is you have a tripping factor.
Well, that's why we've gone to that small area where
we wanted just to maintain some green space, but the predominance of the plaza, it's concrete, so you can walk on it. And trust me, we got complaints about women's heels and tights. So that was actually given to them as an instruction for that paved area, to make sure that you can walk plainly on it and not trip and have these issues.
We've gone from having approximately 30% of the area covered that was a hard coverage to approximately 80% of the area that's now a hard coverage. And 80%, that's leaving that 20%, that's the turf block, is not hard coverage. So you can see we've accommodated a lot more people. And then when there's an event that's going to be very large, the stage would be set up more in the area where the turf block is, so that people wouldn't be walking there anyway. But we can also explore the option with the thinner turf block. Again, that's where it shows more sod, but it handles the vehicles as well.
The only other comment I have is the pavers. We've had a terrible time with the white pavers that were put down on the sidewalks. They look terrible in any place that has a lot of traffic, and you can't clean it. So anything that's white, I would be any pavers that are white, are so problematic. I mean, are these white and
Well,
gray?
what you see there,
We went through this discussion before.
this is actually concrete. The lighter color is concrete.
Right, I
So
understand
it cleans,
concrete.
the concrete would seal and clean much easier than the pavers do.
Right.
So the actual everything else, the darker colors are the pavers.
What are
So
the pavers,
grays.
white and gray?
No, the pavers are all like a gray, tones of
They're all
gray.
tones of gray?
Yes,
All right.
where the white that you're seeing on their left-hand side is
Right.
all concrete.
I understand that, yeah. It's just the pavers that were put down.
No,
The
I
sidewalks
understand your
here
concern,
are
and we actually
a
brought
problem.
that concern up to BEA, and this, was how they addressed it.
I mean, we talk about pavers, I mean, how flat are these pavers? Because we've really had an opportunity with trying to push strollers, wheelchairs, whatever over.
No, I understand. These are, they're going to be rectangular pavers. They actually have not brought us the actual pavers yet, but we told them that it was our concerns, and we actually showed them the plaza in the front with the gapping, and we told them that we just want to eliminate the gaps.
Right, because there's, it's hard to walk on, much less.
No, understood.
Somebody in a wheelchair.
No, understood, and this should not have the issues. I mean, this is what they've come to us with a preliminary furniture design. They actually work with people, companies outside the United States who can actually mold furnishings, and what they do is they give the company a conceptual design and allow them to come back and design it. So you'll see that the furniture could be stacked for storage reasons. It could be set up in pods, it could be set up individually. What they wanted to do was maintain flexibility of the space. So you're seeing like a pod of, I think, about a dozen pieces of furniture in the overall picture. And they could all be put out for seating, or you could put out 3 of them, or you could put out like one little pod, or you could put them all out there, depending on what's going on in the space. When you're not in use, we were concerned about how we can, minimize the storage space. So they were tasked with coming up with a stackable piece of furniture. And then as far as the weighting of the furniture is concerned, they're weighted with water. So the water, you would put them in place, and then you fill it with water in order to make it stable and basically unmovable. And then when you're done with it, you drain the water, and then you stack them up and you relocate them. So this was just an idea that they came up with.
We did see another, this is a pear shape. They also gave us one that was a little bit more
Yeah.
sharp edge. Concept exactly the same. So it had a planter in the base, stacked the same, but it was just a little bit longer and more angled as opposed to the round. I even have some of the models up in my office.
Yes.
So they can literally take this,
That's pretty
3-inch
cool.
model, they'll send it off to a fabricator, they'll make it, they can send it, and then now we can use them. We can order enough to fill the entire plaza, or do 12, or 3, or none, depending on what's going on a regular day. As far as maintenance is concerned, because they'll be stored during non-use.
Are they
You don't-
fiberglass? What are they?
It was a plastic.
It's a
I think.
form of
Yeah,
plastic.
it's a form of plastic.
They don't break?
No, it's a very durable plastic, so no, they won't break. And honestly, this is something that our museum director would provide input into as well. It would be something that they would consider art. And like I said, this is not part of their scope, but we did ask them to come to us with ideas. So, and the overall design, this is something they can do, but it's not ultimately part of their scope of work. They did come to us with a couple of concepts, and as the manager said, we had the initial meeting with them about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and where they showed us the first piece of furniture, and they're evolving, so this is where they're at right now.
It's very interesting
Yeah.
to me.
Very
But if you
attractive.
put plants in the planter, then you can't stack it after that.
Well,
because
it's
you'll kill
something
the
that's
plants.
they're
Take it out.
they're
Oh, okay.
removable. Yeah, they are removable.
So you have like a insert that holds the plants and you take it out?
Yeah.
Or you can put rocks in it, you can put a lot of.
It's
different
very
things in
cool.
it.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, this is a seat.
Yeah, it's all open seating.
You should have covers made so that they can be used to hold the food.
Food as well. I think the one we did, didn't it
had raised levels on it so that
levels.
anyone who's standing there could actually put a drink on it or a plate or something like that as well.
Yeah.
This, I wanted to click to this because this is like their material board, and you could see on the right-hand side they've numbered certain areas, and on the left-hand side they've called it the material board. So the lighting they're looking at is kind of a bidirectional lighting, which is number one, so it lights up and down. Two, just highlights the canopy system. The third one is a fan, because they're looking at circulation. So this is like what they're coming to us with. This is our idea for a circulation type system of fan. Four, of course, is the modular furniture that we just talked about. Five, they threw out Areca palm. That may be up for a little bit of discussion. 5, 6, and 7, to be honest with you.
You know how I feel about it.
This was the first I've seen of their landscaping proposals, and that's up for discussion. So, but it's just ideas that are thrown there. Number 8 is a way to remove the rainwater, just enhancing the gutter system and directing it, to the areas we want it to go to. 9 was the turf block. 10 is the picture of like pavers. You can see that they're using rectangular type pavers that interconnect very well. 11 is the drainage system. Basically, we have 2 drains out there, and this is a way for them to connect the drainage and to get the water off of the pavers, because basically now you have more of a sheet flow off of the pavers, and the water has to go somewhere. So this is just creating a place for it to go. And 12 is just the concrete that we're going to be utilizing as part of the project. And that's pretty much it for my presentation. What I'd like to do is solicit any additional comments that you may have, and we're going to take that back to BEA and make sure that they input your comments into what they're doing for the board's presentation next Tuesday.
I have a question. If the sales, as they are there, how much air circulation do you get through them?
Well, it's and Dunya, if you could just put that back up, the last picture.
I was gonna say.
They're at different
Yeah,
levels.
they're at different levels, so.
So the air will come in
And there's space,
and work.
it's 4 feet, 5 feet in between the sails.
And we'll
It's
just treat
provide
you.
shade, but there's gonna be wind and air flowing through it. Actually, I was traveling last week. I went to Dallas Fort Worth Airport in the rental car area outside. That's what they have up instead of a hard covered shade structure. They have the sails. And it was raining, and it actually protected us from the rain, but it also allowed for the light. So it's not like it's not like a dark shaded area. You still get permeable light in the area, and I think
Are these going to be waterproof, or do they have water goes through?
They're going to come to us with an actual design, but it's going to stop the direct rain and keep most of the water out. But if it's a downpour, they'll probably drip a little bit, but most of it's going to run off to the sides. But I mean, they'll come to us and say, this is the material we plan to use.
And we want the discussion we had about that material is that it needs to be able to be clean. You don't want to see it get moldy and stuff because it's up. And then the ability to take it down if we have. We're not going to take it down all the time. If we have a storm or
Correct.
some type of event, we'll be able to disassemble it fairly quickly.
And those of you that have seen like the playground at Keystone, for example, that has a shade structure over the top of it, and when a storm comes, you take it down. It's not like you go out there and take it down in an hour and put it back up in an hour, though. But it is, you can take it down, you can put it back up, and it keeps things safe.
Easy to clean,
Yeah, we asked for it to be easy to clean.
Yes.
thinking about the bird.
Yeah. Well, bird and mold. And
That's he's totally right. That's an issue.
Right. Yeah. Because we even talked about, should you have a different color, a darker color that could mask certain dirt at certain times. So, yeah.
Speckled, yeah.
I think it's really cool.
I think it's very cool.
Very nice,
Yeah.
Jeff.
Very nice.
Very nice project.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I can't take the credit for that. The credit goes to BEA.
Well,
He's representing.
it's pretty good. But I do have one question. What's happening with the front of the building?
Yes, the courtyard. Yes, please.
It's another problem.
So no, we advanced the project. Our design company, Leo Daly, designed a fabulous courtyard. I think we already presented the paver to everybody and to the council. They put in some lighting elements that we all liked and agreed to, but we had never costed them out, in the design. When we went out to the market, we got back cost proposals that were 3 times what our budget was.
Wow.
That's always a
lot of
problem,
it
yeah.
associated with the complexity of the light structures that we're looking at. So we went back and asked them to redesign, not the pavers that we've already approved, we're moving forward with that, but the lighting concepts, to look at the materials, maybe we can look at a cheaper housing or something of that nature. But they're having to do that because that's what we paid them to do. So it has unfortunately stalled the project. We were hoping to be moving by now because we do have our new museum director, and the paving of the plaza will have implications all the way to Cafe Crimp, because we have to actually remove their outside area and pave underneath it, and then get the back. Yeah, we'll have to close it. So we're looking at staging of the project. So I don't know where timeline is now.
I can give you a brief update on the timeline. The actual project is going to get re-advertised this week. It'll be advertised for 30 days. And our goal is to be back before you at your meeting in May, and to the CRA board at their meeting in May, and to be awarded by mid-May, and a 4-month construction timeline so that everything is wrapped up by September 30th.
So it doesn't impact next batch.
That's our goal.
Well, we're trying to stage it so we at least have this courtyard to use while the other one was.
Everything's going to be staged out so that we don't shut everything down at the same time.
Jeff, thank you very much. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay,
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you so much, Jeff. Really nice work. Thank you.
I have some questions on this, but for the director.
Okay, I mean,
Not on this, no.
Not on this, okay. Under new business, Kenny? We can do it under new business?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, city attorney's report? I mean, the CRA attorney's report?
No report, sir.
No report? Executive director's report? Okay. Public comments? Once, going twice. I know that Chief Juriga was here. Any comments on the downtown?
Oh, no.
No?
TJ doesn't do it.
Yeah,
You
you.
don't do that? Okay. I
You
didn't-
come.
I don't. Okay. Okay, any old business to come before us?
What about the Chinatown?
Any new business?
I guess new business, old
Okay.
This
business.
is that. What about the Chinatown?
The
This is
CRA funded a study
Chinatown.
for the transit overlay. Okay, now, tomorrow night, we have a planning commission meeting. And I'm looking through the packet,
Unrelated.
and I see special development and transit overlay
It is.
district, and I'm a little bit confused. The
If you listen to my answers, the two are unrelated.
two are unrelated. Okay, so,
I can speak to you offline about that.
Okay, that's
so
something.
the one that I have up on 146th Street is not gonna be related to this one.
No.
Now, my
Wait a
concern.
minute, can you, after the meeting's over?
No, I want to get this on the record. I just want to make sure that we're not,
Well,
we're
I'm gonna-
funding one now for,
I'm
wait,
going to tell you, I appreciate your question. It is inappropriate for your advisory board for me to have that discussion because it's related to.
Okay, wait till
I'll
after
explain
the
to you.
meeting.
we're talking about, you're saying that what I have tomorrow is unrelated to what's.
Completely unrelated.
Related to
Okay,
this.
now my question is, we understood that the transit overlay district, that the study that the CRA is funding
Mhm.
okay? It was for off of 123rd Street someplace.
That's exactly where it is.
Okay, and that's what we're looking at.
Yes. CRA.
And the CRA is looking at.
The other is something else. I'll explain it to
Okay.
you.
Now, my third question, or since you're the director, since you're the city manager and
I'm
the
not here in
director.
the capacity of city
Well,
manager.
at the planning commission, we had, I'll get with you privately on that.
Yeah,
Okay? Because
private.
this is important stuff. I asked that the CRA director, the public works director, and the economic development specialist come before the planning commission so we can coordinate all of this stuff. It's like you got one satellite over here, another one over here, and another one over here, and there's the planning commission, and we got all these balls up in the air, and we don't really know what's going on.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, all that being said, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Here you go, man.